Yeah, a 500, almost 500 gram meter intercept in hole 255 at Joss, which is our underground target at Beartrack-Arnett. Just to set the stage, this is a project that we've had in our portfolio for 8 years now. We've been progressing the open pit heap leach phase of that project. We're now moving to develop out the exploration on the underground. The deposit area extends over about 1.2 kilometers of strike. We've drilled it down now to about 850 meters depth. And this latest hole connects in the section 4 drill holes, which really starts to show continuity in the high-grade deposit here and in the core of that zone. It's pretty impressive, and we're really excited about it. The team's super excited about it. Listen, we've got a lot of interest in how it's coming together.
Hugh Agro, Revival Gold. How are you doing, my friend?
Fantastic, Andy. Good to be with you again.
It's always really, really good to be with you. For the record, and to all my viewers and listeners, I am an investor in Revival Gold, and Revival Gold is a sponsor of Natural Resource Stocks. Do not take any of this as a recommendation. That being said, I'm happy to say this is it is the biggest holding that I have in my portfolio. That is not a promise on delivery. It's just my optimism. But just to all you guys out there, just take this for what that's worth, and that needs to be said. Hugh, we need to talk about Beartrack-Arnett. Oh my gosh. And I really mean this is not this is not hyperbole. Those are some just fantastic results. So talk to me about the result that just came in. It's been about a week. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, a 500, almost 500 gram meter intercept in hole 255 at Joss, which is our underground target at Beartrack-Arnett. Just to set the stage, this is a project that we've had in our portfolio for 8 years now. We've been progressing the open pit heap leach phase of that project. We're now moving to develop out the exploration on the underground. The deposit area extends over about 1.2 kilometers of strike. We've drilled it down now to about 850 meters depth. And this latest hole connects in the section 4 drill holes, which really starts to show continuity in the high-grade deposit here and in the core of that zone. It's pretty impressive, and we're really excited about it. The team's super excited about it. Listen, we've got a lot of interest in how it's coming together.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. And I was looking at this and my jaw was literally on the floor. But I want you to, if you could break this down a little bit, like speculate a little, but also just what you can speculate on. What does this mean? How big is this and how early? And I always knew Beartrack was one of, if not, along with Mercur, one of, if not, one of the best assets here in the U.S. But just give me an idea of what kind of scale we're looking at that you can talk about.
Well, the deposit already is 4.6 million ounces.
Yeah.
It's what we call an orogenic gold system, or what the geologists call an orogenic gold system. These tend to have long lateral extent. In our case, it's over 5.5 kilometers now, and we have another 5 kilometers of strike beyond that to the south, which is open and has not been entirely tested. Why? Because it's undercover. So it's a little more complicated exploration, a lot more complicated. I mean, we've got to drill some deeper holes to get into the mineralized zone. It is sulphide, which means the processing's different than what we have in the open pit heap leach. So we need a different sort of plant and a different sort of approach to processing. But all those things aside, what's important about it is the scale. You bring that up, and the type of deposit is permissive of, something in the order of, 10 million ounces. I mean, that's the kind of scale that these deposits grow to. The lookalike for us, I think, or the deposit analogy would be Kittilä, Europe's largest gold deposit, gold mine, that is, operating gold mine in Finland, operated by Agnico Eagle. Similar kinds of underground grades, similar kinds of process, and And so that's the kind of thing that this could grow into. Long way to go here, no question about that. And I refer people to our disclaimer on risks associated with exploration and development. But it's an exciting time for the team and the geologist, and especially, since we're seeing the kind of continuity and grade that we're seeing.
Okay. So also I might add right here, and I'm going to throw Mercur into that, which we're going to get to in a second. All of this is really on the fairway of mining here in the US. And I say that you have so many people that are just right around you that I'm either invested in, interested in investing in, or have invested in, or thinking about buying again. I guess chat a little bit about that being on the fairway, not only with permitting, but also with yeah, just being the friendly jurisdictions that they are to mine. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our nearest neighbors would be Perpetua with that I think plus 6 million ounce development project there now permitted, and I believe construction starting this summer on some of the aspects. To the south of us is of course Liberty's Black Pine project,
I've
quite a
been
bit
there.
lower grade, but moving towards a feasibility study there and in a nice setting. Our project. All three of these projects are on federal land, which requires a federal process for permitting, which is complicated and more involved. But we're in an environment right now where I think there's a genuine interest in domestic mineral production. We've just had the White House federal government making a very large grant to U.S. mining schools for mining engineers and geologists, $100 million commitment. And it's a part of that recognition that we need the expertise, we need the projects, and they can be, super valuable from a strategic and an economic point of view. So we're in the right jurisdiction. We've got some really good neighbors doing some great work, and we've got an administration and a general public that I think is recognizing the importance of mining in the U.S.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit now about what really the plan is over the next, take me through the end of the year, not only with Beartrack-Arnett, but then do that first if you can, and then also pivot to Mercur. And I asked that too is I don't want to call this a concern, but you're doing a lot. And that can be typical for, that can be, you either can, if you execute, that's fantastic. And if you don't execute, that can be the detriment of a company because you're not focused on one property or you're not focused on one issue. But talk to me a little bit about that. And my question really is you're funded really well for both. Is that correct?
Well, your first point, yes, execution is key. Your second question, we are funded to take Mercur through to a construction decision in 2028. We are going to spend the next few months on Beartrack finishing the analysis of the drill results from the program that's just wrapped up, and we've got another couple holes to get out. So we'll do that over the course of probably September.
So let me
And
interrupt
then,
you just for clarity. You're going to have more results from Beartrack over the next several weeks to a couple of months, correct?
yeah, I think we should have them out by the end of September. So look for that.
Okay.
And here, these are wedge holes, and they're important because, again, they speak to the continuity in the underground, which really will be important to the mining method that we can potentially exploit this deposit. And that leads to cutoff grade and ultimately, the size of the deposit. There's no question there's a lot of gold here, but we've got to be able to narrow our mining plans into the stuff that's going to be economic and extractable. So first step, complete the analysis on the drill results, get those results out, uh, redevelop our geological model for the deposit in the Joss area with the new drilling. Then we've got some engineering help from some experts in underground engineering. We had them out to site a month ago, and they will help us develop up potential underground mining shapes for what we have. And from that, we'll start to develop up ideas on potential economics and look for the next places to go drilling. I suspect it's another surface drill program that we're going to want to do. We don't presently have a plan to go out and do that work, but we are developing that plan up and the business case for that plan over the next, I would say, 3 to 4 months. Um, And so that's Beartrack-Arnett. And it's very
All right.
much exploration. It's being led by our general manager at Beartrack-Arnett, Pete Blakely, and our chief geologist, Dan Pace. These guys are super. They know what they're doing, and they're fully underway with the team there. Mercur, the focus there, of course, is to take this in bite-sized pieces, right? Job one is to get the PFS completed by the end of first quarter next year. Now, that's a lot to do still. We are doing infill drilling. We're on track with that infill drilling to convert measured and indicated resource, to convert inferred resource to measured and indicated resource to support the PFS. So that's job one. Job two is to complete the metallurgical test columns that we have underway. We are running a bit behind with that, but we will have an interim bit of update out for that here by the end of the month. And then we'll wrap up the rest of that testing in September, October. We'll do some supplementary work to that. We've got the baseline study work underway, on track with that happily, and I think we'll be wrapped up with that by the end of this year. And that sets us up for 2027. Again, completion of the resource update and the PFS by the end of the first quarter next year. That's our target, and we're working to that plan. And then, of course, permitting next year, and then moving into feasibility study. So lots to do for 2027. We stay focused on the prize for early 2027 with that PFS and all the work programs that feed into that. And John Meyer, our VP Engineering Developments, leading that charge along with our General Manager, Tim Barnett at Mercur. And we've got a great team of folks working with them and consultants.
Okay, excellent. And so I can get clarity. Really, both projects are progressing forward, but really a focus. We're going to drill Beartrack, and that's what we need to look forward to, which is just, again, if there's any indication of what's to follow on this first hole, investors should be quite happy. But really, there's going to be simultaneously, we're developing Mercur to take that to a mine over the next couple of years, correct?
Yeah. Priority is to move to free cash flow. The fastest way we can do that, and the most straightforward path, is with Mercur. So that is the priority. That's where all the spend going forward through the rest of this year is going to be focused. We'll see where we get to on Beartrack-Arnett with the modeling, the underground evaluation, et cetera, by the end of this year, and make some decisions about what we might do in terms of follow-up drilling at Beartrack-Arnett for next year. But clearly, through the rest of this year, apart from getting more assay results out on drill holes from Beartrack, I think the focus and the attention will be on Mercur from an investor point of view. That's our fastest path to free cash flow, and that's where our owners want to focus.
Yeah, fantastic. Great news. So, Hugh, if people wanted to start doing some more due diligence, how do they do that? What's your website? And if people want to invest in you, what exchanges are you traded on, and what are your tickers? How do they find you on the exchanges?
The RVG on the Toronto Venture Exchange, RVLGF on the OTCQX market. Website is www.revival-gold.com. And please reach out to us, info@revival-gold.com if you have questions or comments. Always welcome, Andy, from your audience, and really appreciate the interest in following.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. I'll get Colby to get this right out with all of everything that you just said in the show notes, both on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. So if any of my viewers and listeners do want to do more due diligence or purchase, just look at the show notes, everyone. All right, Hugh, always a pleasure seeing you. Let's do it again here soon as we can. Maybe, I don't know, either end of this month or early next month, we'll get an update from you. Does that work?
Super. Yep, very good timing.
Thank you.